The first warmth of dawn settled gently over Athens, touching the pale limestone of the Acropolis with a quiet, rosy glow that slowly unfolded across the city's waking rooftops. The scent of the early morning breeze carried with it a faint trace of time from the surrounding hills, drifting over narrow streets where a few early risers moved with unhurried calm. This was the Athens of Pericles, a city alive with ideas, but also grounded in the steady, rhythmic routines of daily life. And on this particular morning, the world felt as though it were stretching, slowly and softly, into another peaceful day. A young man named Meleges rose from his simple bed of woven reeds, blinking into the soft light that slipped through a small opening high on the wall. His home stood in the quieter part of the city, where artisans and small farmers lived in modest dwellings built around shaded courtyards. The interior of his room smelled faintly of the clay from the floor and the linen of his blanket, both warmed by his body through the night. For a moment he lay still, listening to the mellow sounds of Athens beginning its day. The gentle bray of a donkey, the muted thud of a door closing, and the steady scrape of a broom sweeping dust into the street. He rose slowly, feeling the coolness of the floor against his bare feet. In the courtyard, his mother was already awake, her figure bent gracefully over a small fire as she stirred a pot of barley porridge. A faint steam rose into the early air, carrying the mild scent of grain. His younger sister sat nearby, sleep still clinging to her eyes, her fingers absently rolling a piece of wool into a soft thread. Meleges greeted them quietly, for the hour called not for conversation, but for gentle beginnings. His mother offered him a small bowl of porridge sweetened with a drizzle of honey. Its warmth spread through him in soothing waves, awakening his senses in the slow, comforting way he had known since childhood. Birds called softly from the rooftops, their chirping blending seamlessly with the crackle of the fire beneath the pot. After eating, he stepped outside into the fresh morning light. The street was still cool, the stones beneath his sandals bearing the memory of night's softness. Neighbors emerged from their homes, some leading goats by slender ropes, others carrying baskets of figs or olives destined for the market. Their greetings were small nods, simple and pleasant, gestures that held no urgency. Meleges walked toward the agora, the heart of Athenian life, where merchants, philosophers, farmers, and craftsmen all mingled beneath the open sky. The path wound gently between modest homes whose walls glowed in the strengthening sunlight. As he walked, he passed a potter arranging newly fired vessels outside his workshop. Each piece was warm to the touch, still holding the scent of clay and smoke. The potter's quiet concentration seemed almost meditative, his fingers moving in a practiced rhythm as he inspected each vessel's shape. Further along, the sound of a lyre drifted from an open doorway. A boy practiced simple melodies, the notes soft and tentative, merging with the general murmur of the city. A pair of young girls walked by carrying small baskets filled with flowers, their sandals whispering over the dusty ground as they made their way toward a shrine where the offerings would be placed with delicate care. By the time Meleges reached the agora, the sunlight had grown brighter but still gentle. The marketplace stretched before him, not bustling yet, but gradually filling with the slow movement of traders arranging their goods. He could hear the soft clatter of pottery, the rustle of fabrics being unfolded, and the low, amiable chatter of early visitors. At one corner of the square, fishermen from Piraeus set out shallow crates filled with sardines still glistening faintly with seawater. Their scent brought with it the memory of the harbor, the creak of boats, the sound of waves tapping against wooden hulls. Nearby, a farmer from the countryside displayed bunches of grapes, each cluster plump and cool, their skins carrying the earthy sweetness of the fields where they had grown. Meleges paused at a stall selling small rolls of bread. The baker, a kindly man with flour dusting his arms, offered him a piece still warm from the morning oven. As he tasted it, he felt a quiet satisfaction, the mild flavor of wheat blending with the faint smokiness of the baker's clay hearth. He purchased a few rolls for the household and slipped them into a cloth bag. Across the agora, a group of young men began gathering near the stoa, standing in a loose circle as they waited for a teacher to arrive. Some carried wax tablets for writing, others held nothing at all, ready simply to listen. Their laughter was subdued, respectful of the early hour, yet it still carried a gentle energy that rippled through the cool air. Meleges approached, but did not join them, for he had other tasks that day. He paused a moment, however, watching as their teacher arrived, a gray-bearded man whose calm presence settled the group instantly. The teacher's voice was soft, but purposeful, guiding the young men into a discussion about virtue and the responsibilities of citizens. Although Meleges did not linger long, the steady cadence of the teacher's words followed him as he walked away, blending into the broader symphony of the city. As he made his way toward the workshops near the edge of the agora, the fragrance of fresh olive oil drifted from a nearby stall. The oil gleamed golden within large clay jars, their surfaces warm to the touch. A woman ladled oil into smaller vessels for customers, each movement smooth and unhurried. Meleges purchased a small amount for his family, enjoying the deep, fruity aroma that rose from the jar. From there, he continued toward a craftsman he worked with, a man known for shaping simple but well-made wooden tools. The workshop itself smelled of sawdust and resin, scents that felt almost soothing in their familiarity. Inside, shafts of light slipped through small openings in the walls, illuminating the fine dust floating in the air. Meleges greeted the craftsman quietly and began his work, smoothing the surface of a wooden handle with deliberate strokes. The sound of the rasp against the wood was steady and soft, forming a kind of quiet music that accompanied him through the morning. As he worked, he occasionally paused to look outward through the open door, watching Athens gradually brighten beneath the sun. A pair of dogs trotted down the street, their tails swaying lazily. An old man passed by, leaning on a wooden staff as he picked his way carefully along the uneven stones. In the distance, he could see the shadow of the Acropolis stretching across the city, its temples standing serene and timeless against the sky. When the sun reached its peak, the sounds of the city softened as people withdrew into the shade to rest. Meleges stepped outside the workshop and made his way home for the midday meal. The streets felt warm now, carrying the scent of heated stone and dust. Yet a breeze from the hills offered moments of cool relief as it slipped gently between the houses. At home, his mother had prepared a simple meal of olives, bread, and a small bowl of cheese. The family ate together in the shaded courtyard, the harsh midday light kept at bay by a woven canopy overhead. The cicadas had begun their steady chorus, filling the air with a soothing, rhythmic hum. After eating, his father stretched out on a mat for a brief rest, and Melesus followed suit, letting the stillness of the early afternoon settle around him. He closed his eyes, listening to the distant murmur of the city at rest, the soft cooing of pigeons in the rafters, the faint crackle of cooling pottery, and the muted buzz of insects in the courtyard garden. The warmth of the day wrapped around him like a blanket, and for a short while he drifted lightly, neither fully asleep nor fully awake. When the heat began to soften, he rose once more and made his way back out into the streets. The afternoon light was gentle now, casting long shadows and bathing the city in a warm, honeyed glow. Children played softly near doorways, rolling small hoops or tossing pebbles in simple games. Their laughter was light and sleepy, blending with the evening wind that rustled over the rooftops. Melesus headed toward the gymnasium, where older men exercised or conversed beneath the shade of plane trees. The air there smelled faintly of dust and leaves, with a hint of aromatic oil from the jars used to anoint the skin. Melesus joined a few companions, stretching and moving with slow, measured motions. The exercise was not intense. It was a form of gentle discipline, a way to keep the body limber and the mind steady. The soft sounds of their movements blended with the distant call of a peddler selling figs along a quiet lane. As the sun edged lower toward the horizon, the city seemed to exhale. People emerged from their homes to tend to small tasks or gather water from public fountains. Melesus walked to a nearby fountain, where the sound of flowing water echoed softly within the stone basin. He filled a jug for his mother, the coolness of the water pleasant against his fingers. The sky grew richer in color, deepening into warm tones of orange and rose. Lamps were being lit one by one along the streets, their gentle glow flickering in the growing dusk. The scent of evening meals drifted from homes and taverns, lentils simmering with herbs, bread warming on hearthstones, fish grilling over small fires. These scents wove into a tapestry of comfort that belonged to the quiet hours of the Athenian evening. Returning home, Melesus found his family seated around the low table. A pot of lentil stew awaited them, its surface glistening lightly beneath the lamplight. As they ate, soft conversation flowed like calm water, nothing urgent, nothing demanding, only the gentle exchange of thoughts and observations from the day. His father spoke of the fields outside the city, of olives nearly ready for harvest, of the steady rhythm of the seasons. His sister shared a few words about a neighbor's child learning to weave. The evening passed peacefully, the warm stew filling their stomachs as the stars began to appear in the sky overhead. After the meal, Melesus stepped outside into the courtyard, where the cool night air brushed gently against his skin. The sky above Athens shimmered with distant lights, each star a tiny glimmer suspended in the dark. In the distance, he could just make out the silhouette of the Parthenon, its pillars standing silent and serene against the night. The faint glow of torches on the Acropolis created soft, flickering reflections along the stone columns. He sat quietly for a long moment, listening to the subdued sounds of the city at rest. A dog barked softly somewhere beyond the walls. The distant echo of footsteps drifted through a nearby lane. The warm night breeze carried the scent of dry grass and the lingering aroma of evening meals. All around him, Athens seemed to breathe slowly, steadily, its pulse a gentle presence in the quiet darkness. Eventually, he returned inside, settling onto his bed. The woven mat beneath him felt cool and familiar, its faint scent grounding him in the simplicity of the moment. He drew a light blanket over his body, feeling the softness of its fibers against his skin. Outside, the last murmurs of the city faded into calm, replaced by the quiet hum of nocturnal insects. As Meleges closed his eyes, he reflected on the quiet fullness of the day, the early morning glow over the Acropolis, the soft sounds of the agora waking, the steady rhythm of work, the comforting meals shared with family, and the gentle conversations carried by the evening breeze. Nothing had been rushed, nothing had been grand, yet each moment had carried with it the peaceful continuity of life in Periclean Athens, where the heartbeat of the city was measured not only by politics or philosophy, but by the daily, soothing routines of its people. And so, under the calm expanse of the Attic night, with the faint scent of olive wood drifting from a nearby hearth, he drifted slowly, peacefully into sleep, the city resting around him in quiet harmony, waiting for the first touch of dawn to begin the gentle cycle again.